Okay, let's talk about some of the good stuff. It's really light on the CPU. I haven't seen it spike. I run a bunch of instances at the same time. As you can see, I'm running Logic right now. It's not a heavy load on the CPU. It's got so many sounds. That's another reason why it's so good. Its design is old, but it's designed in a really cool way. It's broken down into 4 parts, A, B, C, and D, and each part can have a sound loaded into it. You also have the ability to make changes to the sound that's in each slot. So you can pan, you can adjust the level, you can go to the effects, effects in 1, effects in 2, and you can also adjust things like whether or not it's going to arpeggiate, whether or not it's going to modulate, whether or not you're just going to hit play on it. You've got mono, and you've got the ability to set the key range for each section. So you could split the keyboard and have some sounds on one end of the keys and other sounds on the other end. Now you also have 2 effects, and you can control what effects are being in each slot, and you can route those effects with effect sends. When I go to the bottom and do the pop-up, this is what you see. So have a category, soft pads, and then you got tons of sounds that you can rifle through. Action pads, another huge bank. Same kind of thing for each category. So right here we're looking at 29 different categories plus the user category, and you can get as many sounds as you basically would want. Let's put it through some paces. I did have to put some compression on it because right out of the box it's a little weak. It needs a push, it needs a boost, some type of amplification. But I use a stock Logic compressor. I just use a simple setting that would let me boost the amplification. Try not to color it too much. I let the distortion settings off so it wasn't biased. The first part of the sound is made up of a preset that I put together, didn't take long, that consists of 3 parts, A, B, and C. And it sounds like this. And the lead line that I came up with sounds like this. So it responded to my mod wheel stuff, and I stacked it because I felt like it needed a little bit of different tonality. The second occurrence of Xpand consisted of unison square lead in 2 different slots. I had them pan a little bit left, a little bit right. Take a look at the panning knobs to try to thicken it up. And there's some hall and chorus on the effects. And the second one sounds like this. And I put them together to get a thickness going on. Now, keep in mind, each instant only had compression on it. All the effects, all the balances, all the rest of the tweaking actually happened within the application. It's pretty fat sounding, actually. Here's another baked-in feature for Xpand. Each section, as I was breaking down A and B, each section has its own controls. You have the easy mode, which is kind of global, like it's a macro knob that lets you change the attack, the decay accordingly. And then you can also change certain features of each sound per slot. So in part A, I've got a glide time, I got a detune time, that kind of thing. Let's take a listen when I adjust the cutoff so we can hear what's going on with the sound. Air Music Xpand is credited with quite a few hits, especially from the Drake camp. You got Lust for Life, Successful, and Trust Issues. And I got pretty close to Trust Issues using 2 occurrences of Xpand. Here's another example of a simple legato style phrase using a preset called Wake Up Darling. Didn't do much tweaking at all, maybe change some tacks and decay times. That's about it. All the effects happened inside of Xpand. That's kind of what I think makes it really, really an interesting tool to use, especially for songwriting or just coming up with quick ideas. All right, let's talk a little bit about what I don't like. I don't like that the menu structure's a little clunky and clumsy. There's a few things that actually I can't get to work. Perhaps it's the resolution on my screen, but to give you an example, if I go to the effects section, like Effect 1, and I click on the main menu for it, I can't make any changes here. If I go to select it, it just goes blank. Even the little scrolling section, I can't scroll. So that doesn't work for me. Both Effects 1 and Effects 2 work the same way. They don't let me make a selection. Another thing that I don't like is the main preset selection area is tiny. It's really, really tiny. It just scrolls off the screen. It's not well managed. And if I'm looking for something by name, they use a number structure. So in soft leads, there's these numbers before the words, and then the words aren't in alphabetical order. So if I'm looking for something by name, I can't find it. I'd have to know the number. I'd have to sweep through an entire list to get to some preset that I'm looking for by name. And as you can see, it's a long list. What I do like about it is it's simple and it has great sounds. And with just adding a compressor, you can actually make those sounds really pop out. You want solid sounds to be able to put an idea together, especially if you're collaborating. And Xpand 2 has those sounds. It's rich, it's robust, and it'll let you collaborate with others without having to spend too much time getting lost tweaking things. I still think that Xpand 2 is a viable instrument in 2024. Gary Kennebrew for Producer Spot. Thanks for joining me.